Kenneth Craig is back from his behind-the-scenes look at the heroin battle along the border with Mexico. I think what I was stunned by is I know there's this huge volume of cars, and they have to figure out which cars to search crossing the border. But when I heard, among other things, they depend on instinct, and they're looking for a needle in a haystack. Just how do they choose the cars that they let go through and the ones they stop?
That was really one of the most fascinating things for us to see up close. We're talking 133,000 people crossing that border every single day. And so our first question is, why don't you search every single vehicle? And authorities really still haven't been able to give us a reason that makes sense why they don't do that. Instead, they kind of walked us through what they do. And the first line of defense is really those officers who are out there in the midst of all of those vehicles. They're looking around, they've got dogs, they've got other tools, and they're talking with people. And in the case that you saw in that story with the cocaine and meth, they noticed that driver was suspicious. They used a density reader on the tire, on the spare tire. It alerted them that something was inside that tire. They then got a dog. The dog alerted to the vehicle, and then they put it through an X-ray machine. By the time officers finally got a mechanic to remove that tire and find out what was inside, this was a multi-hour long process. One vehicle in the sea of thousands and thousands every single day.
Maybe that's why they can't search every one. It already takes a while to get across the border.
Right, and even if they do, Kenneth, in your report, we can see that there are also these underground tunnels that they're using. So you can check every car, but they're still going to be able to apparently get the narcotics in.
And that's one of the other major challenges for authorities. That was at the port. These tunnels are being discovered beyond the port, in between the ports, and a lot of them are in these really remote areas or in these highly industrialized areas, and that's their biggest obstacle, because what they're doing is in Mexico, they're starting in some sort of warehouse in some sort of yard. Authorities in the U.S. can't do anything about what's happening in Mexico. They build them underneath, and they come up in a very similar situation. Areas where there are a lot of 18-wheelers, where there are these big warehouses, and so these tunnels and the people working on them are really able to blend in.
So here's the key, though. Authorities say they're stopping more heroin than ever before, but there's more heroin coming across the border than ever before. How do we solve this problem?
And so, of course, all of this goes to demand, and that is well beyond the reach of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and obviously that's the million-dollar question. How do we solve addiction in this country? What is the answer? But authorities admit, as long as there is a demand, and the demand we have right now because of this crisis in the U.S., smugglers are going to continue to do whatever they need to do to get across the border, because there is so much money involved.
That's really the answer. I mean, the bottom line is, as long as there are people that want the product, these guys are going to figure out a way to do it.
And that's what they said.
I mean, I've seen reports where they've even used submarines in some cases to get the drugs into the U.S.
It's horrifying and it's fascinating, and we really got an up-close look at the border, and it kind of goes to show you the efforts these cartels in Mexico are going to go to get it to this country.
Yeah.
Great reporting, man.
Kenneth
Thank you.
Craig, thanks a lot.
Thank you.